Have you ever just stared into the black, reflective surface of your phone right before it turns on? When it's just a blank slate, a dark mirror. Well, today, we're going to peel back the centuries to uncover the really strange, almost mystical history that's hiding inside that very screen.
So, let me just ask you this straight up. What on earth could your phone possibly have in common with a so-called magic mirror from the 1500s? I'm telling you, the answer is way more direct and honestly a lot weirder than you're probably thinking. Okay, so look at this. On the left, a device you probably have in your pocket right now. And on the right, that's a polished piece of obsidian that belonged to a pretty famous Elizabethan scholar and magician. I mean, they look surprisingly similar, don't they? But this connection, it goes so much deeper than them just being dark, shiny objects.
To really get this, we need to go back in time. So let's jump to 16th century England, a world filled with incredible scholarship, political intrigue, and, yeah, a deep belief in the supernatural.
This is where we meet our main characters. John Dee, who was this brilliant mathematician and an advisor to Queen Elizabeth I, and Edward Kelley, a much more controversial guy who claimed to be a seer. Together, they used these polished stones, which they called shoe stones, for something pretty wild, to have what they claimed or real-time conversations with angels. Now, this practice actually has a name. It's called scrying. And the whole point of it is to gaze into some kind of medium, a crystal ball, a bowl of water, or a dark mirror just like these, to get information that you couldn't get with your normal senses. We're talking about seeing events happening far away or even peering into other dimensions. But what's really fascinating is how the people who did this, the scryers, described the experience. For them, it wasn't just about seeing images on the surface. No, they felt like their consciousness was passing through it. Kind of like diving into a deep, dark pool of water. It was this totally immersive, boundary-dissolving feeling. Now, hang on to that idea, because it's going to be important. Okay, so we've got this ancient practice of using dark, shiny surfaces to get a window into other worlds. Now, let's bring it back to today and see how this connects to the tech that's all around us. And believe me, the parallels are just uncanny. Just look at this breakdown. The materiality? Well, both are polished, dark, reflective surfaces. Check. The function? Both are used to get information from faraway places and other, in our case, virtual realms. Check. But here's the kicker. The most amazing connection is the language we use. The scryers talked about their mirror as a pool of water. So what do we call it when we watch real-time video on our phones today? We call it streaming. It's incredible, right? It shows this deep, maybe totally unconscious link in how we think about these things. And this connection, it doesn't just stop with the phone in your hand. It actually extends to the collective experience of going to a movie theater, which you could almost call a kind of huge public scrying session. There's actually a fancy academic term for this, the cinematic dispositif. All that really means is the very specific, almost ritual-like environment of a movie theater. And it turns out, this setup is perfectly designed to put us in a state of mind that's almost identical to what's needed for scrying. I mean, think about it. You go into a dark room, totally cut off from the outside world. There's a single focused beam of light that captures all of your attention. You sit perfectly still, a passive observer. And what happens? You fall into this altered state where you're completely lost in the world on the screen, losing all track of time and the space around you. That is exactly the focused receptive state a scryer was trying to achieve. So the big question is all of this just one giant coincidence? Well, some researchers and authors, they really don't think so. They argue that these connections are actually part of a deliberate, hidden tradition inside the entertainment industry itself. So, according to some of these theories, like those in Jay Dyer's Esoteric Hollywood, there's this idea of predictive programming, basically using movies to subtly introduce ideas or events to the public before they actually happen. The thinking is that these mystical or even occult philosophies are deliberately woven into the stories we watch, and it's been suggested that some of Hollywood's most influential figures had deep ties to these ways of thinking. The argument essentially is that films are more than just entertainment. They might be a powerful tool for influence, daring us to decode the messages hidden just under the surface. All right, so if this ancient practice has evolved from a polished stone to the silver screen, where does it go from here? Well, the answer takes us right to the very edge of today's technology. Get a load of this thing. This was an early concept from Philips called the memento. It is, for all intents and purposes, a modern crystal ball. And this points directly to the ultimate evolution of the screen, virtual reality.
You see, VR is the ultimate scrying mirror. It doesn't just show you another world, it dissolves the boundary completely and actually puts you inside it.
And this leads us to a really profound paradox. To get that total immersion, that complete freedom in a virtual world, we have to become more physically restricted, more imprisoned. We need darker rooms, we need more gear strapping us in, we need to completely shut out the real world. The more we try to escape our physical space, the more trapped we have to become in physical darkness.
Which leaves us with one last, kind of unsettling question to chew on. As our screens evolve from these simple magic mirrors into all-encompassing virtual worlds, and as we willingly plug ourselves in, are we still the ones doing the looking, or have we become the figures appearing in someone else's mirror?